running I've done in my life, maybe. That's fantastic. I just love this film. It's so inspiring. As a tough old broad too. What sparked the idea to bring Catherine and her two cohorts in this? Why focus on these particular women? Well, I really, when I came up with the film title before I had a film. So, it's a great title. I was just like, tough. I was looking at another woman who was a tough old broad, and I was like, she's a real tough old broad. And then I thought, I want to make a film about tough old broads because I'm getting up in age, and I want to know how they got to where they were. And I really wanted to look at trailblazers. So the idea was, how were they able to do something in a man's world for the first time? What was it about their character and their personality and their drive that allowed them to do that? And I also wanted to look at older women who were often ignored on screen, behind screen, behind the camera. So I'm getting to be an older woman in an industry that very much is male dominated and prizes youth. So I wanted to talk to older women, I wanted to learn from them, and also pass along their knowledge to the next generation of people.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
So each of these women are firsts in very different arenas, and sports, environmental justice, political documentation. What was the connective thread that you saw between the three?
I think it really was this perseverance, and Catherine says it in the film, but all three of them have it. They sort of followed their passion, and they did it over like a long time, like 20 years, 30 years, how many, 60 years?
59.
59. So I mean, that was what really appealed to me, was the fact that they were so driven and so single-minded, and when they had a no, they went around it, or just made things happen, and they each had their form of activism, and they were each very different types of activists, and I really like that, because I mean, everybody has their strengths, and I think activism isn't just like a one-step formula, that there are different ways, so you have to lean on your strengths to do what is going to be most successful for you to create change.
Absolutely, yeah, it's not a monolith. So Catherine, tell us a little bit about how you first connected with Stacey and what your reaction was when she reached out to you.
Well, first of all, I really have to compliment her. I mean, I think this is an extremely courageous film, especially in the political climate we are living right now. And I think for that reason, it's even more necessary film. And so, from the bottom of my heart, I congratulate you on your guts. From the heart to the guts, I congratulate you. I have a publicist who is very young and very sharp, and she screens all the requests, for things. And she said, I really think you ought to consider this. And so I looked at the script and I thought, I've always been the youngest. And all of a sudden at 79, I find I'm the oldest. And I thought, you know what? It is about guts and perseverance and aging and trying all your life to keep going. So that I, then talked to her. I saw another film that she had done. Interestingly, about telephone booths, but we won't go there right now. It was terrific. It was such a terrific film. I called the guy and I wanted to buy this telephone booth, a refurbished coin box from England, right? Those red ones, red ones. And I can think of so many moments in my life, that an old phone box evokes, right? And so when he said it would be about 30,000 pounds plus shipping, I said, it actually wouldn't fit in my wooded backyard very well. But I was so moved that I contacted Stacey back. We got to talking, and her enthusiasm, it wasn't just her enthusiasm that overwhelmed me, it was her passion, her belief in women, her belief in stick-to-itiveness. We were all in the same wave. And I wanted to be one of the three, and I'm really glad that I said yes. Thank you.
We're really glad you did too. I love that you focus on who they are now. I mean, obviously, we know who you were and who you have been, but the focus on now, I think, is really important.
That was one of the criteria when I was looking for the right mix of women, was that they were still very active. Because I think, active aging is really a thing that needs to be talked about now, and that old people need to take up their space and, share with the world and be vital and passionate still. So I was happy to be able to show that in the film.
Well, and I know they were saying, you know, when baby boomers got to a certain age, it's like, it's gonna be all these older people. And I think there is this emphasis now on that active aging, and we had Jane Fonda here the other day at 86, she's going strong, you know, we're seeing so many people who are embracing that, and I just think it's amazing.
Well, it's really interesting about 261 Fearless, when you saw Edith Zushman, who is the CEO of the nonprofit, okay? When she hammered me to do this, and I said, Edith, I'm too old for another revolution, honestly. And she said, listen, we'll do it. You just be the figurehead, and you don't have to do any of the work. I have never worked so hard in my life. I'm kidding. All the corporate stuff. This has just been unbelievable because it is so important. And truly, I just, you know, you saw it up there, but having our first cohort of Afghan refugee women who showed up, I thought we maybe could get 2 for that shoot. And all 15 of them showed up. They got refugee status. They all fled the Taliban. And they got refugee status in Vienna, Austria. And some of them, got the shirts off. They came with the shirts off their, back. And some of them got the kids, and some of them didn't get the kids. And oh my God, it just stories that make you cry. And yet, when they showed up, remember you said to me, do you think one of them would go on camera? Because they don't like being photographed, okay?
Sure.
So I went over and talked to the interpreter, and she said, yeah, there's one will. And she said, sure, I'll talk to her. Taliban can't get me here. And I said, the Taliban can get you anywhere. You know? So, it just broke our hearts and it thrilled us at the same time.
I almost fainted. It was a great, great day. Really beautiful.
Yeah.
It's never too. You're never too old to start a new revolution. So I guess that.
Well, my husband keeps saying, you gotta watch your strength. You gotta pull back, take some more rest, and then, I think, okay, I'll do that, and then, duty calls.
I totally know that. I love that you had the title first, because I think the title sort of reclaims language that's been used dismissively or derisively, right? Was that a plan?
Oh yeah, that's intentional. Yeah. Even old, old is a bad word. Don't ever ask a woman her age. Forget about it. We all get old and we get better, and we should embrace that. So that was one thing for sure. And broads, people were labeled broads, and it was supposed to be a bad thing because they were speaking out and they were sassy and they were taking up the space that men didn't want them to take up. And so I was like, yeah, being a broad's also a good thing. So let's make it a good thing.
Yeah, I love that. I love this sort of use of humor in the process of defiance, because people can be turned off by very serious things, but to use and embrace that humor, I think is.
Everybody has a tough old broad in their lives. I'm sure everyone here knows a tough old broad. So people love them, and we should all aspire to become tough old broads too.
Let me tell you something about, we need to keep going on and doing these things and have humor about it, okay? We have humor about it, but often I say, hi, yes, and then I go to the ladies' room and I go,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you how many meetings I've done. I'll just excuse me a minute.
Excuse me, one of those
I'm gonna go scream.
So I love that the film pushes back against the idea that activism or influence has an expiration date, because it obviously does not. Was that something else you wanted to?
It actually ended up, at first I was just looking for trailblazers, so the first firefighter, the first this, the first that, and then as I did more and more research over 3 years, it turned into much more of an activist film, and each of these women were single-mindedly doing their one thing for so many years, and I think that really made it a special film. So I wasn't originally looking for that, but in documentary film, the film leads you in a direction, and it ended up being the most important direction that this film could have gone in for this time, especially.
Catherine, what was in the process of doing this? How many days were you involved in the shoot, by the way?
God, it's long.
It's long. I first contacted her in 2019.
Oh,
So it's been a long time, and shoots her along, and she's an artist, so she's impatient, she wants to do it like 20, 30 takes, you know. And I have to say, you know, my fitness was a big asset.
Yeah.
Because, you know, and I admire her, because, I mean, she's not out running every day.
And I'm not fit,
Yeah,
but I
well,
can still do
yeah,
those
but-
13-hour days.
Yeah, but she was hanging in.
There's many ways to be fit,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, but the fitness is, it not only was it important for the film and certainly for the shoot, but fitness in life is really important.
Yes.
Very, very, very important.
You are a living example of that.
Well, I hope so.
Yes.
I try.
So I wanted to ask you about that. Was there anything in the process of it during those 6 years that really stood out to you or surprised you in the sort of the journey of this film?
I think in terms of, are you talking about her in specific, Stacy specifically? Well, yeah, she surprised me.
Yeah.
I mean, for instance, when I found out that I was going to Paris and that I was the honorary starter for the women's marathon, I mean, I had to be there. You know, it was a 12-hour, and I just had to be there. And I had to sign an affidavit that I wasn't going to tell anybody because all those athletes were supposed to be a surprise when they were announced. But I called her and I said, "You've got to get your butt to Paris. You've got to be there." And she was there. Boom, boom, boom. And so was my colleague Rosie Spraker, who was right here. And stand up, Rosie. Rosie did the shooting as I was running. She's got a camera credit for it, you know, because Stacy comes to Paris and she said, "Well, we'll just stand on the sidelines and shoot you there." I said, "Stacy, there are 40,000 people when we're all running and we're going to go by and you're going to get 2 seconds."
We had our yellow umbrella though.
Yeah, but we have to have somebody inside, and so we got my friend Rosie, who's done this before at the Boston Marathon, New York City Marathon, and
So she was a camera person and ran the marathon.
Woo!
So as I was coming over here, I came up in an Uber and I was talking to him about this film and I mentioned that your experience in the marathon and he was like, "What?" And do you feel like, and this is a younger person who wasn't aware of this, do you feel like we've come a long way? I know we have a long way still to go, but since those days.
honestly, in running, I'm amazed it has happened this fast. I mean, because we're talking about, you know, as early as my generation, if you ran, you know, really your uterus would fall out, your hair on your chest, you're going to turn into a man, you're never going to have children. All these myths, and these myths still exist in many countries. And when I said that how important the women's marathon was, it wasn't just because the women were running. It was because 2.2 billion people watched it on television. And every country knows that 42.2 kilometers or 26.2 miles is a long way. And here were women running it with courage and speed and grace and with no restriction.
And people invested in watching.
Right. So they saw it, they could see it. It was proof.
Yeah.
And that and also creating the opportunities is extremely important. So, you know, creating races in 27 countries, almost all of those women's races still exist with different sponsorship, et cetera, but they provide not only an example, but a forum. One woman came to one of my races in America, and she was Austrian, I guess it turns out not it is, but Austrian, and she went back and she created a 10K run in the Potter Park in Vienna.
Wow.
40,000 women every year now.
Wow.
You know, so,
Great.
you know, and now we're into the second, third generation.
Right.
See?
Right.
Yeah.
But women are backsliding pretty heavily these days, generally. I mean, maybe in sport things are better, but I think there's still a long way to go, baby.
But that is a good example. Now let me tell you something else, everybody. I changed my loyalties this last weekend in the Super Bowl from the New England Patriots to the Seattle Seahawks. You know why? Because the Seattle Seahawks are owned by a woman. And when women start getting enough money and buying the teams, you watch this space. I mean, it's amazing.
My loyalty
Really.
was Bad Bunny. I didn't care who won. I just wanted the message of unity that I thought was, but that's a really good point. So Stacey, did making this film change how you now see your own future?
I am much more of an activist now. I think the time's called for it, but also I really got a kick in the butt from these ladies. And you know what Sharon said in the film and in real life to me many, many times is like showing up. Well, you said showing up, but also that protesting shows you care. And that really stayed with me. It's like people that are like, oh, what do you expect to accomplish? You know, you just go out and protest. It's like, no, at least you have that power to be able to say, I care and this isn't right, and I'm gonna, you know, do what I can to do about it, and whether that's going out to a protest or doing some little thing, whatever you can manage to do. But I think the time's called for that right now.
But as a filmmaker, do you think that you're going to now change the themes of what you're going to do in future films?
Oh no, I'm retiring after my next film. That's what I said. No, I like films about human connection. That's been kind of a through line through all my films. I love following artists and people who are engaged in life and who are kind to each other. So I don't think that's going to change. Those are the people that I care about, and that's the message I want to get into the world, is that we should be kind to each other and care about the world and care about each other.
Yeah, it's a great message. That's definitely worth the ride. So let me ask you a little bit about the craft, just for a second, because you weave archival footage in with the present day moments and you do it so seamlessly. How did you approach balancing that, the historical context, with the vitality of who these women are today?
Yeah, well, it was very important for me to show them today, and I sort of always led with it today because I think that was an important piece. The archive footage, I mean, in terms, it's complicated to do archive. We had different qualities of footage as well. I didn't realize, the quality of footage was so bad in the 90s. that was a big revelation. But I really wanted to have a little bit of both, and actually I watched this film with a lot of younger people and realized that they didn't know half the history. So I was kind of shocked by that. They didn't know about the ERA, they didn't know about Kent State, what happened there. Like, they really had this lack of historical knowledge, and I was really, really shocked about that.
Sad.
So it was great that I was able to incorporate some of that, historical footage so that people can see it and it can carry on and it can spark discussions about those periods in history that we might be reliving.
Yes.
We spent the weekend also with Sharon Farmer, who had to leave this morning, unfortunately, because she's such a pistol. But because of, we kept saying, but she knows if you capture the image of it, then the image creates the history. So people say, oh, Catherine Switzer, she was the one who ran the Boston Marathon. They say, no. And they said, oh, the one in the picture. And then they understand.
Yes.
So a photo is very, very dramatic.
Worth 1,000 words, yeah.
And honestly, it has been a huge help with my career and creating this nonprofit 261 Fearless, because around the world people saw that picture. Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. Speaking of around the world, you live in New Zealand?
I live in New Zealand half the time. When the snow comes down, usually in New Zealand, and the other time I live in the Hudson Valley of New York. So we go back and forth. I met you saw this skinny little guy running with me in Paris. That was my husband.
Oh.
And he's an English professor of English literature and an author of 25 books on running. He's #1 master runner in the world for many years, sometimes, depending on his age. Yeah. But still running at 86, so amazing.
Fantastic. Wow, I love that. I want to ask you one last question. They have a tech check coming in here. So, what do you want people to take away from your film as they walk out and as they go on with their day?
Well, I think showing up and persistence would be a good start. I think that is the big takeaway, is that change is possible. And sometimes it doesn't feel like change is possible, especially in the dark times. But if you keep at it, if you show up, if you go to marches, if you do whatever you can humanly do to say that you care and that you want things to change, I think that's the big thing.
That's a great takeaway. Do you want to add?
I do, because I've run into so many obstacles. And basically, if you take the problem and instead of complaining about it and saying it's hopeless, you turn it upside down and you say, well, if we can find the solution, it creates opportunities. And that's what my whole career has been about. I knew if I could create a women's only race, for instance, we could maybe get women's marathon in the Olympic Games. Just would go on and on and on. So that's what I always say, is look at the problem. Don't say, oh, it's hopeless. See if you can find a solution, and maybe you have a whole new vocation.
And I just want to do a couple of shout outs. We have some people here from 261 Fearless.
Yes, okay.
They did give out some flyers, but they're in purple shirts. And if you want to start a running club in your town, or know people who might want to start a running club, please go and talk to them. I also want to mention that you should follow me on toughbroads.com. All my social media is there. So if you want to tell people at the film or just follow what we're doing, that would be a huge help. And finally, I wanted to just mention Sela couldn't be here today. Sharon just left, but Sela wasn't able to come, and she just wants you to know that she stands with the people of Greenland, who are her Inuit family, and that she hopes you stand with Greenland as well. So thank you very much. Oh, and vote in the audience prices.
Five. We like five. Five.
Catherine Switzer and Stacey Tenwell, thank you so much. Thank you for this great film.
Congratulations, Stacey. Ladies, let's get a photo. I'm the one not wearing the shirt. I feel bad. There we go. Thank you all. Oh, Rosie, take care.
Why don't you have t-shirts here?
I'm getting more.
On your website.
I am going to have them on my website hopefully soon.
And Catherine, your husband's name?
Oh, wait, I have pins.
Roger
I have
Robinson.
pins.
Thank you for the people at home. Thank you.
Pins, but the shirt's phenomenal.
There are pins on the outside. Pins. I forgot to mention that. Oh, thank you.
I feel like for coming. I mean, when I wanted to buy a house when I was 26, where's the signature? You can't buy a house. You're a woman. I know. Yeah. Excuse me.
Hey, you ladies, for anyone who wants to be on a little short snippet for their Instagram and website, would love to capture you saying, I'm Rosie Spraker. I'm a tough old broad because, and then you can fill in the blank for the rest of the sentence. Anyone want to do that? Sure. Okay.
Oh, she's a great panther.
Right. We'll do it right outside because
Yeah, they're gonna clear the room here.
Awesome. Congratulations. So what did you do? I will be a tough old broad.
Right now I'm a tough old broad because I have 2 young children. That make me go to the bathroom.
That's perfect. Aspire to become tough old broad.
Yeah.
So part of it is like I vow to become a tough old broad.
I like that. I'll do
You can
that.
turn that on for
I'll do
us.
it. I try to get a selfie with you.
Danielle, oh, great.
You do a selfie? Sure. Okay.
Get out of your selfie. Trying not to
I've
go.
never done the marathon, but I did the triathlon.
I don't think I photobomb, but.
Which one did you do?
Malibu triathlon. Raised my name for a children's hospital. So my husband and I did it for like 10 years, and then they lost their license and never launched a little far, but we always did it as a relay, and then for my 40th birthday, I was like, I'm gonna do the whole thing. Not swim in the ocean.
It's cold.
When I got to the run, I was so relieved. I was like, okay, I'll do it.
I said, Danielle, thank you for coming.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch. Okay. Enjoy. Thank you so much.
My husband is very
Oh, yes, we'll be
So nice. It's huge. That's huge.
Lee Parkinson's and very blue.
We have to do the interviews out there. They gotta clear the room for the next film, I guess.
You know what? You're getting older, but we're holding it together here. That's right.
They're gonna.
Yeah, they're kicking us out.
These were just made for the festival now, so we don't have like a plan, but tell her that there's interest in.
Yeah.
He's just, he was a wonderful designer, yes. Thank you so much, thank you.
Shake it in your
I gotta get in there.
I know a lot's going on, and there's no media coverage of it, so
We get media.
good.
Our media is behind us. Our police are behind us.
Bless you.
Yeah. And when there's going to be a march or a protest of any kind, I call the police. Half the time I know who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
And I say, we're going to be doing this. And their answer is, that's great. Do you want us to shut down the street?
Right on. Good for you. How many old grandmas are you?
I think we got about 40 now. Yeah, about 20 of us are very active.
Yeah.
And then we have a mailing list. Like,
Good job. Good job.
But it's not just
Yeah, let's
music
sneak in.
music, symphonies. I've got the